A lot of stuff happening.
We do. We do. We're going away from a lot of stuff happening in season 2. Nothing is going to happen in season 2. We felt it was a good way to change it up.
Fool everyone. No, we felt like we made a lot of promises to the audience in season 1. We set up a lot of mysteries. We lit a lot of fuses. Had a lot of characters converging. Now we get to pay all that off in a big way. So that's our favorite way of, I think, looking at the season.
The big change really is, season 1 was a lot of mystery and conspiracy and sort of what's going on behind the curtain. And I think the nice thing about collapsing the storylines, Miller joining the crew of the Rossi, the big advantage is now we can play a lot of things in forward momentum and discovery, and that's the big difference. Is that there's not a shadow play like who's doing what and what is it about. It's about this proto molecule, what it means, what it actually does, who has it, who wants it, and it's a different tone, I think, in that sense. That actually, I think it's paying a lot of dividends story-wise.
Yeah, it was nice to be able. I think shows that are trying to play the long game, you gotta really dig in that first season, set up well. It means you don't give up a lot of goodies fast because you can't go back. You got to set things up, and then I think we get to earn now the chance to pay off these things that we've set up, because I think a lot of shows want to win you over so badly that they give up a lot of their great story as quickly as possible. And you can't have it back once you give it up. So we're really excited about, the cornerstone. That first season is meant to be making this show a marathon of unfolding. So that's what we're hoping for.
The big deal about the first season really was that we brought some characters forward, some storylines forward, like Avasarala, obviously. And now we're getting Bobby, as a main character in it. She's amazing. So does that really help propel the story even more so than what we had in the books, because it gives you more to work with to develop and build upon?
We did it with Christian Avasarala, as you said. It's like she doesn't start until book 2. We pulled her into season 1. Similarly, Frankie Adams, who's playing Bobby Draper, we brought her into like the last third of Leviathan Wakes. If you're looking at the books, she doesn't start until the beginning of Caliban's War. You're meeting her the first 5 seconds of the opener in season 2, because she brings a different perspective into the storyline, one that we didn't really dwell on or really drill into last season. And it gives us another set of people to play with, and launches the show in a sort of a distinctly tonally very different place. It's kind of a mission statement for us starting that way in season 2.
Yeah, Avasarala was about Earth. It's like I don't want to wait till book 2 to start saying what's going on Earth while Holden and Miller are blowing up the whole solar system. I want to know how it affects Earth. And in this, how does all this affect Mars, and what's the Martian point of view? So it's really fun, and the material, because the characters exist in time in the story unit. So we're just saying, let's put the lens on them for a minute and say what they were doing while all this was going on. And we just love to mix it up like that, because it makes this feel like one solar system. Everything somebody does affects everybody else, and we want to make it feel like one giant story.
Yeah, there was a lot of discussion about that, because I think in the book it's described as sort of a black thing, and part of the problem was, especially in this genre, you're going to get compared to the black oil alien in the X-Files. You're going to get compared to so many different things. So, and Ty and Daniel were part of these discussions. What we wanted to do was create a unique look for what this was, and so it was after a lot of discussion, a lot of concept work, and this is where we ended up.
Yeah, I think we found a look that, because it's really hard to get past Ridley Scott Alien like that. Like everybody stopped at the Geiger influence kind of, and we're like, it's beautiful and it's indelible. We have to do something that's our own, and so we did really try to design something. And the beauty of it is, the proto-molecule is not a static thing. It continues to become something. So it's not just going to look like one thing and be one thing.
There's a practical consideration as well. If you've seen the show, you know we operate in very low light levels. It's a lot of darkness. Black on black doesn't film so well.
Bobby and the Mars, you may mention the panel that you're going to see a lot more of the Martian. How are you going to balance what would appear to be an increase in the action, but still keeping the mystery and the conspiracy and that basically?
That's the balance of every episode in a way. It's like, there are episodes with a lot more action and episodes with a lot less, like in every show of this nature. You can't have a space battle every week, and sometimes you don't want a space battle every week because that also gets dull in and of itself. If you get to live with these people and actually drill into the characters, that is, I think, actually how people connect most strongly to stories and to shows. So we have both. A season premiere is a great way to launch the show with a lot of action, and there's plenty of action throughout the season. But I don't look upon us as we're not an action show, It's just I think we do a little bit more on the spaceship side. I mean, the battle that in the season premiere is massive and cool. I mean, it really is. It's I think it's the biggest one that we've done so far, and there are plenty more to go. It's not my dinner with a Vasarala.
And it is every sequence, so they're expensive. They're always motivated by character decision, things that have to get done. So we try to save them to be really special and then do something really cool, as opposed to a little bit here, a little bit there to keep the action quotient up. There's no point. People tune out when it's not really motivated, and if you do it and it's not clever and original, right? You go out and get popcorn in some action movies. Now you come back, the sequence is still going on, and you don't give a shit. You don't care because it's just, we need 12 minutes of non-stop action here, a few lines, and then 12 more minutes, and it means nothing after a while. It numbs the audience. So
the heart of the mystery this year really is the proto-molecule. What is it? How is it changing? What does it mean? What is it trying to do? That just runs through the entire 13 episodes of season 2. I'm sorry?
Is there a possibility it might be Ascension?
The world is filled with many possibilities. Oh, you're going to see the zoo.
Oh, yeah.
It's not the same as the book, though. But you are meeting her and her team.
Meeting her, like we had said, what was she doing while all this other stuff was going on? So you're meeting her earlier than the book allows you to meet her.
It's a little bit like a prologue, actually. It's like, it almost exists a little bit out of time. You're meeting Bobby on Mars. It could be happening some point earlier in season 1. It's like, but it doesn't really matter, because it's like, it's a prologue is actually a great way to describe it.
So as somebody with an African American representation is really important to me, and I love the representation in the show. How intentional was making sure that the cast?
Extremely intentional. The authors of the books were like, we'd rather not make Bobby Draper, 5'8" blonde girl. We've tried as much as possible to maintain ethnicity.
And just to reflect the world as it exists, and not as a way to win points for the show, just to reflect the world as it is becoming, and as we've actually changed. We made a character, a white character, who wasn't white in the book for a very specific story reason, and it always is dictated by the truth of the story and the world as we exist in now, and as it might evolve in the future, and as the one culture kind of becomes the thing as opposed to different cultures. And I think we just want to stay truthful and realistic, and not and in every respect try to reflect a world that is not. It's not a science fiction world. I think when Star Trek did it back in the day, there was a real inclusive element to bring racial division. Yeah, that was very much of it there. I think we're trying to do it to reflect reality, and the politics of this country now, or a lot of the anxiety comes from the world is completely different now, and we are becoming one humanity, whether we like it or not, and some people are not comfortable with that yet, and so that's still part of the thinking behind the show as well.
Is it more of a challenge to make series based on the series? I guess examples already have a well-established.
I think both of those things, are hard in different ways. What's great about having a book series like The Expanse is the world is so beautifully realized and deeply thought through. And that, for genre, is incredibly important. It's like when people say, oh, this feels like a real place, or these things seem to have an internal logic to them. That's because the guys who wrote them spent years thinking about them. And it makes all the difference in the world. And it's I think it's, especially these days, modern genre, it's almost indispensable. You can create things from whole cloth, but when they exist already and you get to play in them, it's a very enjoyable thing.
There's nothing these guys, there's very little they have not thought through with, not to be like intellectual. They just have thought the truth of this stuff through, and there's so many layers to every choice they made, and we get to benefit from all that when you're telling the story. And it's as if it's so much is baked into the fabric of this thing already, and we get to use that. It's like a gift to storytellers. You usually have to invent all that from whole cloth, and this is like now we can play with something that's make it work for the screen instead of figuring out what the hell is it. They've given us a tremendous amount of riches with this series.